The void glittered with steel and fire. Hundreds of alien warships formed a lattice across the Orion Edge system, their hulls gleaming with polished banners of power. Cruisers bristled with cannons, carriers floated heavy with fighter swarms, and dreadnoughts radiated confidence like cold suns. Together, they blotted out the starlight, a storm forged from dozens of civilizations, united by one purpose. On the flagship Dominion Spear, High Strategist Kaler Threx studied the display, his mandibles tightening with satisfaction. To him, this was history already written. The Concord had brought overwhelming numbers, more than enough to crush a single Terran craft. "Signal the fleets," Threx commanded, his voice carrying a crisp authority. "Let all species gathered here bear witness. Humanity's arrogance ends today." Around him, aides clicked claws, hissed approval, or tapped quills against datapads. Dozens of alien officers crowded the observation chamber, each representing their worlds. Together, they radiated smug certainty. "They send one vessel," a reptilian Colonel rasped, his scales rippling with amusement. "We anticipated fleets, but this is comedy." Laughter circled the chamber, though a few younger officers remained silent. Threx noticed their hesitation, but ignored it. Doubt was the tool of the weak. Yet whispers persisted. A Selenite tactician leaned toward his peer, lowering his crystalline voice. "I have studied their campaigns. Humans do not fight as others do. Their unpredictability." "Is merely chaos mistaken for strategy?" Threx interrupted, turning with a glare sharp enough to silence the room. "Do not cloak cowardice in myth. They are flesh like all flesh. Flesh burns." No one challenged him further. Across the void, the Resolute arrived. A single point of light cut through the dark, a lone drive flare shimmering against the endless Armada. Slowly, the Terran vessel emerged from hyperspace, scarred, compact, its hull dulled by soot and battle scoring. Compared to the towering dreadnoughts and ornate alien cruisers, it looked like an exhausted wanderer stepping into a coliseum. The chamber on Dominion Spear erupted with derision. "That is their champion?" scoffed an insectoid admiral. "A relic held together by welds?" Threx allowed a thin smile. "The galaxy will remember this day." On the Resolute, the atmosphere was calmer, though tension lingered in every breath. Commander Elias Varen stood at the center of the bridge, one hand resting lightly on the console rail. His eyes tracked the colossal display of enemy ships, but his expression betrayed no fear. "Cozy welcome," muttered Tactical Officer Juno Rains, her fingers tightening around the targeting controls. "Hundreds of guns aimed at us. Makes a girl feel special." "Think of it as flattery," Elias replied evenly. "They wouldn't bring this much firepower unless we worried them." His voice was quiet, but it carried. The crew drew strength from it, the way they had during every impossible mission. Lieutenant Marlin, the XO, leaned forward from her station. "Commander, we're broadcasting across the system. They want everyone to see this." "Good," Elias said, "then let them watch carefully." At the engineering pit, Kai Hassan's hands flicked across glowing panels, monitoring reactor output. "Engine stable. Hull integrity green. For now. I'll keep her humming as long as you keep us moving." Elias gave a slight nod. He needed no stirring speech. His crew already knew the stakes. Every eye was steady. Every hand was ready. The comms crackled. A towering figure filled the screen, Threx's armored frame gleaming under command lights. His voice rumbled with theatrical disdain. "Terran Commander," he began, mandibles clicking, "you face the Concord Armada, the united strength of the galaxy, and yet you come with one vessel." He paused, letting mockery drip into every syllable. "Do you not value your lives? Or is humanity so desperate for spectacle that it sends lambs to slaughter?" Elias tilted his head slightly. "One vessel is all we need." Laughter boomed from the alien side, rolling across the channel. Threx leaned forward, his compound eyes narrowing. "Arrogance without foundation is suicide. When your ship burns, the galaxy will see what humanity truly is. Fragile, overreaching, insignificant." Elias's reply was almost casual. "We'll let the galaxy decide." The channel cut. For a moment, silence reigned on the Resolute. Then Juno exhaled a sharp laugh. Fragile, huh? Somebody should tell them we don't break easy. Focus, Mara warned, though a hint of pride edged her voice. Elias studied the enemy formations. He noted the precision, the rigid spacing, the confidence of commanders who believed in numbers alone. Predictable, that was their flaw. Predictable enemies could be beaten. Helm, Elias said softly, bring us forward. Half speed. Let them see we're not hiding. The ship rumbled as engines pushed it into motion, a lone speck advancing toward a wall of warships. The crew tightened straps and checked systems. No one spoke of fear. They had chosen this fight, and they had chosen Elias to lead them. On the Dominion spear, Threx's mandibles spread in a predatory grin as he watched the lone Terran ship drift forward. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Let the first wave fire upon them. We'll end this quickly for efficiency's sake. His officers scattered to relay commands. Hundreds of targeting systems locked onto the Resolute, weapons humming with charged fury. The first barrage was seconds away. Threx clasped his hands behind his back, savoring the moment. Observe closely, he told the gathered commanders. This is what becomes of those who defy the Concord. The alien armada braced for the kill, and yet, far across the void, aboard a scarred human vessel facing impossible odds, Elias Varen allowed himself the faintest of smiles. The first streaks of energy tore across the void. Hundreds of alien cannons hummed in unison, lasers painting deadly arcs toward the Resolute. In the bridge, consoles flared as targeting locks snapped onto the lone human vessel. The odds were overwhelming. A tidal wave of fire meant to erase the speck of humanity in seconds. Brace for impact, Juno Raines muttered, knuckles white as she keyed defensive systems. Elias Varen's eyes were steady. Evasive pattern delta, he ordered, voice calm, almost casual. Engage thrusters at 60%, lateral vectors only. Keep us unpredictable. The ship shuddered as beams sliced through empty space, narrowly missing the hull. Sparks danced across sensor arrays, but the human vessel remained intact. The alien armada's confidence wavered imperceptibly. Like the first tremor before an avalanche, Marlin leaned toward Elias. Commander, they're firing everything in formation. Even a partial hit could. Won't. Elias cut in softly. They see one ship. They think the numbers are enough. They won't anticipate us. In engineering, Kaihosen shouted over alarms. Shields holding at 83%. Minor burns on the dorsal plating, but nothing critical. I can tweak the plasma dampers for better deflection. Do it, Elias said. Every point counts. The first volley passed, leaving the alien commander stunned. Every calculation they had made, their overwhelming superiority, the perfect lock-on had failed, and yet they could not believe their eyes. Impossible, hissed a squid-like officer from Cruiser. Our weapons should have obliterated them. Threx's mandibles clicked sharply. They are small, vulnerable. One ship cannot outmaneuver the Concord Armada. Target them again. Focus fire. Orders acknowledged. Hundreds of voices chorused, and the next wave braced. On the bridge of the Resolute, the crew moved as one. Juno guided the ship through precise lateral shifts, weaving between beams and flak. Mara monitored the weapons, ready to strike where opportunity appeared. Elias' hand hovered over the tactical console. Prepare countermeasures. Let's make our presence felt without firing a shot yet. Kai grinned from the engineering pit. Deploying decoys. They'll think twice before firing blindly again. The decoys launched, small, sensor-mimicking drones that mimicked the ship's signature. Alien targeting systems struggled to differentiate real from fake. Beams licked empty space, exploding harmlessly as the decoys scattered and darted. Good work, Elias said. Keep them guessing. The alien armada faltered. Confusion spread. Officers whispered among themselves, try and make sense of the human tactics. Their formations wavered. A cruiser collided with its neighbor. Shields overloaded from a misfire. Threx eyes narrowed. Discipline, he roared. Discipline, or you will fail just as the humans expect. But even as he barked commands, the Resolute darted between capital ships, slipping into positions no one had calculated. Each movement was deliberate, small, precise, a shadow weaving through giants. Commander, tactical sensors indicate several Concord vessels are overextending, Mara reported. We can exploit that. Elias smiled faintly. Good. Target the exposed cruisers. Disable, don't destroy. Show them what one ship can do when it's clever, not just strong. Juno tapped her console. Locked. Firing sequence engaged. A flash of light, and the first Concord cruiser shuddered violently. Systems fried, weapons offline. Confusion rippled through the alien ranks. Impossible, an insectoid captain screeched. They should be crushed. We have numbers. Elias watched quietly. Numbers were meaningless when predictability was assumed. The human crew had prepared for this. Decades of improvisation, adaptation, and instinct honed under pressure. Minutes stretched. The Armada reformed, but hesitation lingered. Every wave fired more cautiously, unsure of the small vessel weaving through their fire with uncanny timing. The Resolute didn't boast, it didn't roar. It simply acted, each movement precise and purposeful. Mara leaned back slightly. They're beginning to hesitate. The first cracks are showing. Kai added, and we're barely breaking a sweat. Well, maybe a tiny one. She's holding together. Elias allowed himself a brief glance at the display. Alien commanders were furious, unsure, yet unwilling to call retreat. Pride kept them locked in place. Pride, he thought, always their undoing. Good, he said softly. Now we make them overreach. The aliens tried a flanking maneuver, sending a wing of sleek interceptors to circle behind the Resolute. Juno predicted the vectors within milliseconds, looping the ship in a corkscrew trajectory that left the wing overshooting. Their own fire destroyed a portion of their formation before they could correct. Threck's rage was palpable through the comm channels. How? How is this possible? One ship, one insignificant ship. Elias leaned back, resting a hand on the console rail. Predictable enemies crumble faster than clever ones, he said quietly, though enough for his officers to hear. Sir, Mara asked, what's next? They're regrouping and sending another wave. Elias' eyes gleamed with calm determination. We wait, we watch, and we let them make mistakes. They will, every time. We just need to survive long enough for them to expose themselves. The Resolute hummed, engines vibrating beneath the bridge. A scarred hull, a crew of 6, facing hundreds of alien vessels. Yet in their calm, in their precision, there was an unmistakable truth. Humanity did not need numbers to matter. They only needed resolve, and a commander who refused to panic. The next salvo drew nearer, streaks of deadly light racing across the vacuum. The battle had begun, but already the outcome was quietly shifting. And across the Concord Armada, a seed of doubt took root. One ship was still alive. One ship was moving with purpose. One ship might just be enough. The Armada hesitated for only a heartbeat before reorganizing. Alien vessels shifted like tectonic plates, larger ships blocking the flanks, while squadrons of smaller, faster interceptors darted forward. Their movement was methodical, rehearsed, confident. They believed the human ship would falter under the pressure of hundreds of synchronized weapons. Elias Varen observed the displays with a steady gaze. They're forming a layered attack, he said quietly. Predictable. Let's make them learn unpredictability is dangerous. Marlin adjusted the tactical panel. We can exploit the gaps in their formation. Cruiser shields are weaker on the trailing edges. Interceptors won't cover them fast enough. Good, Elias replied. Target precision, not destruction. Disable their systems and force them to reveal themselves. On the bridge, Juno's fingers danced over the targeting console. Decoys are deployed. Enemy sensors are confused. 2 cruisers are already showing signs of overcorrection. Kai Hassan's voice came from engineering. Shield stable. I've tuned the plasma dampers to handle sustained volleys. Engines can manage more lateral thrust if we need sharp maneuvers. Elias nodded. Proceed. Every action counts. The Resolute moved like a shadow, weaving between beams of light. One cruiser fired blindly, only to strike empty space. Another tried to correct its aim, but collided with a nearby frigate, sparks erupting from the hull as shields flared. The humans didn't celebrate. Every crew member was focused, each decision precise. They're reacting slower than they should, Mara observed, her eyes narrowing, confidence turning into hesitation. Exactly, Elias said. Let them make the mistake of thinking they're in control. From the alien side, panic was subtle but growing. A Selenite tactician hissed. They are too small, too few, yet they anticipate our moves. Impossible, muttered another. We've simulated the scenario 1,000 times. One ship cannot count hundreds. Threk's mandibles clicked with irritation. Numbers are relevant only to fools. Press the attack. Do not let them dictate the battle. Yet even as he barked commands, the humans continued to disrupt expectations. Small, coordinated strikes disabled weapons, shut down shields, and forced alien ships into defensive postures. Elias' calm voice guided the crew through each maneuver. Line up the next intercept. Maintain vector stability. Juno, fire when ready. A pulse of energy lands forward, striking a cruiser's engine array. It shuddered violently, drifting helplessly as crude repair drones scrambled to stabilize it. The alien pilots had never encountered this level of precision from a vessel of such size. Nice shot, Mara said, allowing herself a brief smile. Keep it steady, Elias reminded her. Every successful disable exposes another. We're teaching them the cost of assumptions. Kai's laughter echoed faintly from engineering. I swear this ship loves me. Hull integrity holding steady. Systems optimized. If we keep this up, they won't know what hit them. Elias smirked, though no one saw it. Just don't get cocky. The moment we assume they'll behave predictably is the moment we lose. The humans move with synchronicity, each action informed by intuition and experience rather than brute force. Where the aliens relied on overwhelming numbers and rigid protocols, the humans relied on adaptability. One interceptor wing overshot a target. A cruiser attempted to flank but misjudged the lateral thrusters of the Resolute, colliding into its own formation. Chaos rippled through the Armada. Threk's eyes burned with disbelief. What are they? How are they predicting everything? They are small, agile, hissed a subordinate. But still, one ship cannot anticipate hundreds of moves in real time. Numbers mean nothing if one ship moves like water, Elias said quietly, almost to himself. We flow, we adapt, we survive. Minutes stretched into a tense rhythm. The Armada adjusted, attempting tighter formations, but the Resolute anticipated each correction. The humans exploited the cracks, disabling shield generators, jamming communications, and forcing errors that multiplied like snowballs. Commander, Juno said, leaning forward, we have an opening. 2 cruisers are exposed on our trailing edges. If we push through, we can take them out without breaking formation. Do it, Elias ordered. Precise strikes, no theatrics. Energy pulses leapt across the void. One cruiser went dark, systems fried. Another spun out of control, colliding with a frigate. For the first time, the alien fleet hesitated, not out of fear but disbelief. One human ship was shaping the battle. Threk's compound eyes flared. This is unacceptable. All units converge. Focus fire. But even as he screamed commands, the humans continued their rhythm, exploiting openings faster than the aliens could close them. Every misstep became a learning moment for the humans and a catastrophe for the Armada. In a brief moment of calm, Mara glanced at Elias. They're floundering. Their strategy, rigid and flexible, is failing. Elias' gaze remained fixed on the displays. Good. That hesitation will grow. One misstep from them, and the advantage is ours. But patience. Never assume victory until it's done. Kai interjected from engineering. Engines and shields holding. If we maintain lateral movement, we can dodge another full barrage. Then we move. Elias said, let's show them what happens when one ship fights like 600. Across the void, the Armada's officers whispered in disbelief. Each wave of fire brought more disruption than destruction. Their calculations had failed. Their expectations had been shattered. One vessel, small, scarred human, moved with intention and precision that seemed impossible. Even Threk's pride wavered. For the first time, he questioned his assumptions. One ship, one insignificant craft, defying logic, defying numbers. Elias allowed himself a measured smile, unseen by the Armada. Humanity didn't need to roar to be heard, didn't need to boast a win. The Resolute moved, adapted, survived, and in doing so, it began to teach the galaxy a lesson that would echo far beyond this single battle. The next wave of alien ships loomed, faster and deadlier, yet the crew's determination never faltered. In every glance, every command, every subtle adjustment, they proved a simple truth. Cleverness outweighed mass, resolve outweighed arrogance, and one ship, piloted by humans, could hold a line against hundreds. The battle was no longer about survival. It was about teaching the Armada that numbers alone could never measure will. The Armada's formation had begun to crack. Cruiser lines skewed, interceptors collided, and dreadnoughts spun erratically to avoid friendly fire. Even with hundreds of vessels, the Concord was faltering, not because of numbers, but because of one human ship threading through the chaos. On the Resolute, the bridge hummed with controlled intensity. Elias Varen studied the tactical displays, eyes flicking from indicators of shield integrity to enemy positions. Every movement was deliberate, every decision calculated. "Commander," Mara Lynn said, her voice low, "they're converging. Hundreds of ships. This next wave is going to be devastating." Elias didn't flinch. "Good. Let them gather. The tighter they cluster, the easier it is to break them apart. Timing is everything. Patience, not panic." Juno Raines leaned forward. "Their flank is overextended. If we maneuver through the center, we can disrupt the entire formation." Kai Hassan's grin crackled over the intercom. "You're talking about threading a needle with a hurricane on the other side. She can do it, but the shields are going to scream." Elias allowed a faint smile. "Let's give them a reason to scream." Across the void, Threk's mandibles clicked with irritation. He had expected resistance, yes, but not this. All units converge. Pin them in the center. His command resonated through hundreds of speakers. The Armada moved like a rolling wall, attempting to trap the Resolute and crush it with sheer mass. "Converge and crush," he repeated, almost to himself. Pride, he thought, would not fail him. And yet, something gnawed at the edges of certainty. One ship, small and scarred, danced through their combined fire with uncanny skill. Helm, full lateral thrust. Vector delta through the gap between the dreadnought and the lead cruiser, Elias ordered. The Resolute shuddered as engines roared, weaving precisely between massive alien hulls. Energy beams screamed past, exploding harmlessly in empty space. Thrusters at maximum efficiency. Juno called. "We're cutting through their front line." Mara's fingers flew over targeting panels. "Focus fire on exposed cruisers. Disable engines, fry weapon systems. No destruction we don't need, let them squirm." Kai's voice crackled with anticipation. "Shields holding at 90%. Placing every extra into deflection fields. We'll slip right through." The Resolute darted forward, a scar dart threading through a cathedral of steel and light. Alien vessels attempted to adjust, but rigid protocols made their corrections too slow. Interceptors collided with cruisers. Shield grids overloaded from overcompensation. Chaos erupted in the heart of the Armada. Threats roared across the comm. How is this possible? One ship, one insignificant vessel, should not dictate this battle. "It moves with intention," a junior officer muttered, almost in awe. "Every action precise. Every decision clever." Threk's mandibles ground in irritation. "Numbers mean nothing if they exploit our weaknesses. Focus. Contain them at any cost." Yet containment was no longer possible. The humans were already inside the first line of capital ships, weaving unpredictably, striking exposed reactors, jamming weapons, and leaving no time for repair. Elias watched as the Armada faltered. "Juno, adjust vector left 12 degrees. Mara, fire sequence Bravo on the second cruiser. Kai, channel maximum power to shields." No hesitation. Commands executed with flawless synchronicity. The second cruiser faltered, engines offline, drifting helplessly into the path of a nearby dreadnought. Another cruiser attempted to compensate, only to overextend, opening itself to a disabling strike. On the bridge of the Dominion Spear, Threk's compound eyes narrowed. He could see the pattern, small, precise, deadly, but understanding offered no immediate solution. One ship was wreaking havoc through hundreds of vessels. Pride, he realized with growing panic, had blinded him. Concentrate all fire on the human. Threx bellowed, "Do not let them reach my flagship." Yet his orders were already too late. The Resolute had slipped between lines, slicing through the coordinated defense like a blade through silk. Laser volleys missed by meters. Collisions erupted among enemy ships, and dreadnought shields overloaded from repeated misfires. "Commander," Mara said, eyes bright, "we have access to the Armada's interior. If we push through now, we can disrupt their command chain and reach the flagship's escorts." Elias' fingers rested lightly on the tactical rail. "Then we push. This is the moment we either fracture them completely or overextend ourselves. Risk is acceptable if executed precisely." Juno adjusted the helm, ready to thread the needle. "Sir, lateral thrust optimal. Targeting system synced." Kai's voice chimed in with a chuckle. "Engines screaming, shields screaming louder. But she'll hold. We'll hold. One ship, one goddamn ship against 100. The Resolute surged through the corridor of ships. Cruiser after cruiser fell into dysfunction. Engines fried, weapons offline, communication arrays disrupted. Interceptors collided with one another. The Armada's structured offense collapsed into chaotic scattering. Elias' calm voice carried through the bridge. "Good. Keep moving. Let them make the next mistake themselves." In the heart of the chaos, Mara's eyes flicked to the displays. "Their flagship's escorts are stretched thin. We can target the lead cruisers guarding it, disable them completely." "Do it," Elias said. "Precise strikes. One wrong move could be fatal, but one right move will break them entirely." The pulse of energy lanced forward, striking a cruiser's engine array. Sparks erupted. Shields collapsed. The vessel drifted helplessly into another line of fire, cascading damage across the formation. Another cruiser, attempting evasive maneuvers, collided with a smaller frigate. Chaos became a weapon the humans wielded with grace. Across the void, alien officers whispered in disbelief. One muttered, "How can one ship anticipate everything?" Threk's compound eyes widened. Control is slipping from us. We cannot." Elias leaned back slightly. "Numbers are meaningless when the enemy cannot adapt. Predictable forces fall faster than clever ones." The Resolute pressed forward, threading the opening toward the flagship's inner defenses. Every disabled ship, every overextended vessel, left gaps for further exploitation. The Armada's pride began to fracture. Chaos was no longer an obstacle. It was a tool. And in the calm of the human bridge, a lesson was clear. One ship, when piloted with ingenuity, courage, and unity, could rewrite the rules of war. The breaking point had arrived, and the Concord Armada had no way to predict it. The Resolute glided through the shattered heart of the Armada. Cruiser after cruiser drifted disabled, engines fried, shields flickering. Interceptors tumbled in slow arcs, colliding in confusion. The Concord Armada, once a mountain of firepower, was now fractured, each ship a fragmented note in a discordant symphony of failure. On the bridge, Elias Varen studied the flagship, the Dominion Spear, looming ahead like a colossus. Its shields were strained, the supporting cruisers that once formed protective lattice now drifting impotent. The moment of decision had arrived. "Commander," Marlin said, voice tight but steady, "the flagship is exposed. Weapons offline on most escorts. We can strike now, disable them completely. One clean run, and it's over." Elias gazed in waver. "No theatrics," he said softly. "Precision. Focus. One ship is enough. That is the only truth we need." Kai Hassan's fingers danced across engineering panels. Engines holding peak output. Shields can handle the forward approach. We'll slip through their point defenses cleanly. One shot, one success, one lesson. Juno Rains leaned forward, scanning the tactical displays. Targeting vectors locked. Disabling pulse ready. All systems synced. Elias exhaled slowly. Proceed. One shot, one strike. No errors. Let's show them what a single ship can do when it doesn't miss. Across the void, High Strategist Threx mandibles clicked furiously. His pride, once absolute, now fractured. The fleet he had commanded with certainty was failing under the hands of one human ship. He bellowed orders, but hesitation had taken root among his officers. They move with intention, one hissed. They anticipate every formation. Hundreds of ships undone by one. Threx eyes narrowed. Focus fire. Destroy the human vessel. Do not fail. Yet even as he shouted, the Resolute approached with unerring precision, weaving between the crippled escorts. Lasers and plasma pulses sought to intercept, but shields absorbed and diverted. Engines twisted and decoys mimicked presence. Every predicted strike failed. "Commander, they've concentrated everything on us," Mara warned. "This is the moment they'll try to overwhelm." Elias cut her off. "Let them. Numbers are meaningless when the enemy miscalculates. Hold steady. Fire when ready." Kai grinned. "I love this ship. She's screaming, but she'll hold, just like us." The Resolute surged forward, threading between wreckage and failing systems, until the Dominion Spear's massive hull filled every display. The flagship shields flickered, overstrained from repeated assaults. A single pulse of energy from the human vessel would be enough. Target the engine cores, Elias instructed. Disable. No destruction we don't need. Leave them alive to remember. Juno activated the pulse. A beam of concentrated energy lanced forward, hitting the flagship's core. Alarms screamed across the Concorde vessels as systems overloaded. Engines sputtered. Weapon arrays flickered and died. The flagship tilted, drifting helplessly, a Titan rendered immobile by one small, determined craft. Across the Armada, disbelief rippled like wildfire. Officers whispered, muttered, and froze mid-command. One insectoid captain rasped, "Impossible, one vessel, controlling hundreds, destroying our fleets." Threx staggered, mandibles grinding. His carefully ordered world of strategy and numbers had unraveled. One ship," he repeated, voice trembling. "It cannot be, it is impossible." Elias watched quietly. Calm, composed, the Resolute glided among the wreckage. "One is enough," he said softly, more to himself than anyone else. "One ship, one crew, one choice. That is what matters." Mara exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "It's over. They're retreating." Indeed, scattered waves of alien vessels disengaged, attempting to regroup, but the fear of further human precision and the chaos of their own miscalculations made cohesive action impossible. The Armada fractured, fleeing in disarray across the void. The bridge of the Resolute was quiet for a moment, save for the hum of systems and distant warning signals from drifting alien wrecks. "Damage report," Elias said. Kai's voice was steady. "Hull integrity 92%. Minor plasma burns, nothing critical. Shields fully operational. Engines nominal." Mara smiled, leaning back slightly. "We survive against all odds." "Not survived," Elias corrected gently, "but proven. One ship, one crew, one strategy. That's enough. Numbers never mattered. Ingenuity did." Juno allowed herself a rare grin. "I'd say we made them rethink the galaxy. I mean, hundreds of ships scattered like paper." Elias allowed a small, tired smile. "Let them tell their story. Let them remember that the smallest force can change everything." Across the void, Threx's flagship drifted, crippled but intact. Mandibles clicked softly in resignation. The Concorde Armada had failed, not because of weakness, but because it underestimated its opponent. Pride had been the enemy, and that lesson, as harsh as any weapon, would echo through every species represented. Signal withdrawal. Threx said at last, "All units, fall back. Regroup. Humanity, we underestimated them." One ship, one scarred vessel, had rewritten expectations. One crew had imposed their will not through overwhelming force, but through skill, precision, and calm resolve. On the Resolute, The crew watched the alien vessels retreat, the void littered with scattered wreckage, a testament to their determination. The tension eased slightly, replaced by quiet relief. Next time, Elias said softly, maybe they'll bring enough ships. Mara laughed, a short, relieved sound. I doubt it. They'll never forget today. Kai shook his head, eyes wide. I'll never stop marveling at this ship. At us. Elias allowed himself a final glance across the void. Humanity was small, yes, and scarred but resolute. One ship had faced hundreds, and in the process had proven that courage, ingenuity, and unity could overcome anything. The galaxy had a lesson now. One ship, one human ship, was enough.